continuing with our horror movies. I found one that's a horror. I mean, it says right here on the box that it's a horror. The Twilight Zone, the movie. Now, this was made in 1983, based on the long-running Twilight Zone TV series from the 60s, you know, by Rod Serling, the black and white show, freaky half-hour episode stories about weird things and 4 eerie outings in a landscape of the mind. So, yeah, it's like another anthology movie. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. Twilight Zone, the movie, has like, well, I guess 4 different directors here. There's John Landis does a story in here. Steven Spielberg gets a story in here. Joe Dante, as well as George Miller. You get the iconic Twilight Zone theme song. You know, and it's going to be weird stories. More, really not so much horror. Although it borders on horror and definitely qualifies. It's kind of sci-fi fantasy in the same way, kind of like what if scenario is the whole premise of the Twilight Zone. And then we kind of have a little setup in the beginning, a little, there's the 2 guys driving in the car, Dan Aykroyd, Albert Brooks at the beginning, and they're trying to scare each other, I guess. The one guy says, hey, do you want to see something scary? And he turns the lights off of the car when they're driving down the highway super fast. And the guy's like, oh, hey, turn it back on. Come on, man, that's kind of scary. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And then they start talking about TV theme songs for some reason. And so they do the Hawaii Five-0, I think Bonanza, you know, all kinds of TV shows and stuff. But the best one is when Albert Brooks starts humming, and then, you know, so he starts making up lyrics for it as well, because there never were. It's the National Geographic theme song. Look at these old ruins, this must be really old. Look at these 2 apes, this must be where they live. I don't know why that one line always just stuck with me, and now every time I see a National Geographic documentary or featurette or whatever, and I hear that theme song, that's all I can think of. Look at these 2 apes, this must be where they live. So yeah, best part of the movie right there. First story in here comes with a kind of morbid side note. Stars Vic Morrow. It's a story about really racist, bigoted man that finds himself in all these situations where he's the victim of all the, you know, kind of racism and bigotry and whatever that he's projecting out on everybody else. Now, the tragic side note of this is that, of course, Vic Morrow was killed on the set of the making of the Twilight Zone, the movie. That particular scene is not featured in here because I think that's would be really disrespectful, and I'm actually kind of surprised that they released it. I think they released this one because it did have a powerful message. You know, it portrays its subject material really well, and as I guess a tribute to Vic Morrow. I mean, he was working on this. This was his final project, and maybe as a tribute to him, you know, it's like, well, we can't just not release it now. I mean, he obviously worked really hard, and he gave his life for this. Yeah, that first segment is directed by John Landis, and but then you get to the second story, the Steven Spielberg one, and oh my God, it's about old people, and it features Scatman Crothers, is this like magical old guy that comes and meets with other people in a nursing home or a retirement home, basically encourages them all to, you know, try and feel young again and relive your youth and stuff like that, and invites them to play a magical game of kick the can after bedtime one night or whatever. And they find that when they're playing this game, they all turn into kids. And oh my God, it's so Spielberg that it hurts. This is Spielberg cranked up to 11. I don't know, it's so boring, and if it's not boring, then it's like obnoxious. Like the kid actors are so obnoxious, portraying like they're imitating the old people, and they talk like old people, and it's way too long, and it makes one point that, oh, I wish we could be young again, but you know what, we're meant to be the age that we are. Okay, well, blah, who cares? They made that point in the first, like, 2 minutes of this segment, but they just beat it to death. And it's done with the, the touching violin music in the Spielbergian way. You know what I'm talking about. All the feels are there. But it felt really out of place in this anthology. And it's like, oh my god, you wasted a potential Twilight Zone story, and you picked this one. And sorry, Mr. Spielberg, can't win them all. Now, the third one in here, directed by Joe Dante, this one is my favorite, I think, in here. It's the one about the kid that can wish for anything, and he can do anything, and he can alter reality and create things or destroy things, or he gets all his wishes come true. So he basically like runs this like town, or this certainly this household, because he always gets what he wants, and everybody around him just has to do what he wants them to do, because like that's just how his power works. Yeah, so there's like, he has this super weird family that are all like enslaved by him. They're not even his real family. They all just like, he summoned them there somehow. They were just compelled to come there. Pretty funny, actually. Kevin McCarthy, the guy from, remember Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the old black and white one? That's this guy. He's in it, and he's like the kind of goofy old uncle. One thing I didn't notice right away, but I didn't get it until I saw the credits. Nancy Cartwright, the woman who voices Bart Simpson, plays the kid's sister. I just thought that was notable. Hey, Bart Simpson. The kid summons like monsters and stuff, and because he's a huge cartoon fan, so they're all cartoony, gross-looking monster puppet things, and apparently the special effects are done by the same guy that did The Thing in 1980. This last one is, you remember the Twilight Zone episode? But William Shatner was in it. He's on a plane, and there's something on the wing of the plane. There's like a gremlin or whatever on the wing of this airplane, commercial flight that he's on. And in this one, it's updated, and it's that character is portrayed by John Lithgow, who does a really good job of being like a panicky, nervous, like, normally very rational guy, but he just gets freaked out and he hates flying and he's super nervous, and then he sees this thing on the wing of the plane and nobody believes him, and then things get all crazy and violent, and the thing is wrecking the plane, and the plane's about to crash, and all this chaos is going on, and he's the only one that sees this monster, and that's a good one. It's well directed, there's a lot of tension in it, and the monster's pretty cool too. But John Lithgow, I just think, just totally sells this. 3 out of 4 of these stories were pretty good and enjoyable. It's just that Steven Spielberg one, I don't know. I'm going to give Twilight Zone the movie a B. B because, it's a movie. I'll go back to it. I'll watch it again. I was going to give it a B- because of that Spielberg thing in there. But luckily that's brought back up to a solid B, I think, by the opening segment with Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks. So yeah, Twilight Zone the movie, I think it does pretty good tribute to the old show, and it did pretty well at the box office. So overall, this is a fun movie. It's a good horror movie. It's not something that's going to like disturb you and keep you up at night or anything like that, but it's entertaining. Those last 2 stories especially are pretty good. There isn't much else to say. So I guess until next time, have a good one out there, everybody. Look at these 2 apes. This must be where they live.